everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you're having a really amazing day. I know this video is scheduled to go out in the middle of the day on a Saturday if you are a Patreon supporter or a YouTube channel member, and then it also goes out in the middle of the day on a Sunday if you're not one of those two groups of people. And you might be looking at this video and going, shadows are kind of long. That's because I'm recording this just at the end of the day on Wednesday. We do record things a few days in advance, so if the shadows look kind of long and the colouring is a bit weird, that's the reason why. Everything else is perfectly fine. Anyway, if you haven't already checked in on our chicken and garden update, do go and do that. If you like chickens and gardens, loads of things to tell you about this week, because obviously we were off for a week last week. But today I want to tackle a really big topic, namely, is it possible to be a massive company and also be an ethical and green company? So, as you may or may not know, there's been a lot of news flying around of late in Texas regarding SpaceX. Obviously, it's a company owned by Elon Musk. It flies things to space. It flew a Tesla Roadster to space. It flew the satellites to space that I rely on to get at least some of my internet connectivity here at the studio. But earlier this year, there was a rocket that blew up, and it showered some really sensitive areas with debris, and environmentalists are very concerned, conservationists are very concerned about some of the debris, about what it did to the local flora and fauna. And it's led a lot of people to say, well, you know, SpaceX is evil and Elon Musk is evil and all of this. And whatever your opinions on both the company and the man behind it, who is also, of course, connected with Tesla and plenty of other things in our modern world, Twitter, of course, it kind of served as a jumping block for me to go, okay, let's look at all these big companies. And by the way, I'm not being an Elon apologist here. I'm just looking at a lot of these big companies and what they're doing. If we kind of jump laterally from Twitter and Elon Musk to Meta, obviously owned by Mark Zuckerberg, owner of Facebook, and their Threads new app that launched this week or last week and is already gaining a lot of people who have gone over to Threads. And in case you're interested, no, this channel is not going to get an account on Threads because we have some issues with the way in which Facebook sells your data and the way in which Facebook has behaved and Meta has behaved in general. And so we are not going to be using it. We're going to stay on Mastodon. We've got our own server on Mastodon where we try and run the server in an appropriate way and try and be a good business and good netizens and good citizens. But you know, if you think of any large company, Ford, Chevrolet, the makers of the two cars or vehicles that I own, think about Toyota, think about big news organizations, think about big grocery organizations, heck, even think about Starbucks, which again has been in the news a lot lately, right? Because of challenges about unionization among its staff and not allowing staff in certain places to form a union and trying to discourage that. I want to know if in today's modern capitalist society, where companies that sell large amounts of product and make large profits are rewarded, right? Society rewards them. Is it possible for a company to be good? Is it possible for a company to be green and still be that massive kind of company? Apple, Apple likes to really shape its company image. And I am an Apple customer. I use Apple products for the basic reason that when I started in computing, when I was in my late teens in the 1990s, The computers that I was exposed to at that time were Apple Macs at my music college and my high school before that. And when I got into teaching music, when I got into making videos, it was Apple Macs that I used because I had access to software that I'd already amassed, and I couldn't afford to kind of transition over to a different type of software, and kind of ended up being stuck in that ecosystem. But even Apple, you know, it tries to make itself up to be the good company, the ethical company. But is it always the ethical company? And I think, you know, if you look through the news archives, you'll find that no, that's not always the case. There's concerns about some of the companies that Apple works with to manufacture products for us here in the West. Concerns about Foxconn in China, concerns about ties with various suppliers in China, whether that is mistreatment of staff or other things. And in the EV world, of course, we rely a lot more, I would argue, on suppliers from other countries in other parts of the world, whether it is the raw materials used in our cars' battery packs through to the components and where they're made. How possible is it for a large automaker, for a large company, be it a media company or a grocery store, to be ethical and also be successful? And is there any way that we as a society can change that? Obviously, B corporations are gaining traction here in North America, especially in more liberal states. So here in Oregon, there are lots of B corporations. There is a great bakery that I go to fairly regularly in Portland. It's kind of like a local Pacific Northwest chain. I think they've got a couple of stores in Seattle, and then they've got some in the greater Portland area. Grand Central Bakery is a B Corp, and for those who don't know, B Corps are designed to do more than just prioritize the shareholder, right? They're designed to do a social good as well as make a profit, which at the end of the day is what all businesses try to do. Maybe that's why I suck as a businesswoman, because I've never really run Transport Evolved as a company intending to make a profit. It's more a case of make enough money to pay everybody. Maybe that's a me problem. But I would love to know if you think it is possible for a large corporation to be ethical. Can large corporations be green? Can they be quote unquote good? I asked Kate Bolton-Elliott this question earlier this week, and she slammed her lips very tightly shut and said, I don't think you should let me speak on that one. She and I are very similar politically, and I totally agree with where she's coming from. You know, capitalism in a lot of ways rewards profit above everything else, and therefore in a world where we're facing continued stresses of anthropogenic climate change, which we humans have caused, where temperatures are rising, we're seeing incredible storms in large parts of the Northern Hemisphere right now. We're seeing massive monsoons in the Indian subcontinent. The planet is pretty screwed. Can we trust any large company to do the right thing and be a good company? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because I honestly do not know. And I'm going to get out my Apple phone. I know, we're all hypocrites, right? It's hard to exist in this world without being a consumer in one way or another. I think the only thing that we can do is be cognizant and careful of the companies we choose and the products we choose, and to keep those products for as long a time as we possibly can to try and minimize our impact. And also, if a company does something we don't agree with, to let them know and to be vocal about it, and to try and steer that company in a particular direction. Because if enough people speak out and say, hey, this thing you're doing, I do not like it, ultimately it will have, I think, a positive effect. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. On that note, of course, we are done with today's video. Do leave your comments below. You can also drop us a polite note in our Discord chat room. Keep it civil, don't call each other names. We've had some issues with the Discord chat room of late. So if you are a Discord channel member, just Use your common sense. Don't be mean to other people. You can also reach out to us on Mastodon, or if you are a Patreon supporter or a YouTube channel member, you can leave us a note in the relevant sections there. If you want more, subscribe, hit the bell, and regularly support us through a YouTube channel membership or a Patreon subscription. You will also find links below to our Bitcoin, Ko-fi and Swag store if you prefer to support us that way, as well as, of course, the links to the aforementioned Mastodon server. Scrolling on my right is a list of amazing charged up supporters, and thank you to all of you who have joined recently. That is a new list, but the names that I'm going to read out now is slightly old, so apologies if your name is not on the list. We've been juggling a lot of balls of late, and we did have a week off, which we all needed, so we're a little bit behind on that. That doesn't mean we don't very much. We're not very grateful for your support, because we are. So shout outs go out to Alan Tupper, Andrew Martin, Bennett Elder, Brophy Wolf, Chris Maxwell, Cyprian Laplace, Dan Blair, Gordon C, Hay Esker, John Trammell, Carl Fox, Mark Eggleton, Peter Dillinger, Stephen Williams, Taslet and the Gong, Paul Bricknell, Regine Fellows, Sean Tucker, Stefan Fremgen, Tony Moss, Carl Hodgson, Chris Asentar, Denny Hyde, Lance Schall, Linda Irish, Mike Weeder and Paul Nelson. And finally, big thanks to our off-grid supporters. They are Paul Conway, Kevin Burrowbridge, Stephen O'Donoghue, Jim Burness, Robert Flannery, Aaron Hahn, Ellery Hensley, Rory Litwin, JP Fagerback, Dave Kitchen, Andrew Glenn, Anonymous Freak, Chris and Michael Johnson and Clay Witt, CPU Freak 101, Eric Knack, Joe Bresney, John Henderson, Laura Reynolds, Marcel Ward, Matthew Drobneck, Nigel S, Reggie Watts, Will Graylin, and of course, Ian. Don't forget that we make content every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday over on our main channel. You get to see it a whole day earlier if you are a Patreon supporter or YouTube channel member, and then jump back over here on a Sunday on Take Two for our chicken and garden update, which, by the way, you should go and see if you haven't already this week. It's very good. And of course, this, our Sunday musing. Whatever you enjoy next, whatever you do next, I hope the rest of your day is a very good one. And until next time, keep evolving.